Hello everybody, welcome back to the Gear Shed. Today I've got another little review of a LED headlamp for you. This was the Manker E03H. Now if you've seen any of my other reviews, you would have seen me review the younger sibling, the E02, which is essentially the same kind of format light but in a AAA. Really like this little light. It's kind of my go-to overnight backpacking lamp or multi-day lamp. The main reason I like this is that the tint is very nice on it, and also it has quite a long firefly mode. I was never really big into firefly until started doing seeing the light, so to speak, when you're backpacking, because it basically allows your light to last a long time. And when you're light adapted, especially around camp or in your tent, it's definitely a good option. So I'm kind of gravitating towards lights with some form of moonlight mode or close to it. All right, so this particular one here, this is one that we've purchased, my boss has purchased for work. So I thought I'd do a review on it. It's not mine, but I didn't buy it, so there's no, sorry, it has been bought, it's not been a giveaway and that, so it's a nice fair review. All right, so yeah, as I said, so for the little one, there's things that kind of hamper it. I mean, the runtimes are good on the lower settings, and the light is a very good tint, and it's quite a good beam. There's quite a bit of a hotspot with it though, so if you prefer more of a flood, it's not really the torch for you. But having the AAA battery does hinder a little bit its runtimes because it's such a small cell. So jumping up to the E03, it runs on a AA battery. So just to give you an idea of size comparison, it's a AA there. Okay, in comparison. So this one runs on, as far as I know, it only runs on non-lithium batteries. I'll have to double check that, and I'll put that in the description down below whether that is true or false. That it only runs on the 1.5 volts instead of lithium ion, which is a 3.7. All right. So one of the major, apart from being a AA battery, there's obviously bigger run times, higher output. The AAA version is about 180 to 200 lumens maximum, depending on what which model you get, what color LED that you go for, whether it's your cool white or neutral. So with this guy here, you're looking at 350 lumens max output. So it is a bit of a jump up in output time. Now with that, it has a step down. So you're getting 3 minutes of that output, and then it'll step down to the next mode, which is 140 lumens, and that will then do that for 2.8 hours. So it's kind of a burst, timed burst mode in turbo. So don't expect it to be running 350 lumens forever in a day, because it's not going to. The other thing that's a little bit different with this is that it has a sliding diffuser. Now I haven't seen very much videos or anything regarding this thing here. People kind of speculate a bit. Oh, I'll just turn it on. Speculated a bit about what this is and how good it is. Now it comes with 3 different colors. The clear, which is installed here, there's a green and a red. Now they seem to be ABS plastic. They're quite hard. There's not a lot of spring or anything to them. It's fairly difficult to get this off. You've got to get your finger up underneath it and give it a good, got to get your tongue right. Oh. So unless this wears and get softer or something, I don't think this is going to pop off anytime soon. It's not just going to jettison itself as you're walking along or in your pocket. I wouldn't think. It's fairly robust in its connection to the light. All right. So as I said before, with the younger sibling, it's got quite a hot spot. You can sort of see it there. It's in turbo mode. When you slide the diffuser across, oh, sorry. Let's get some light going on there. When you slide the diffuser across, you can almost, it is quite diffused. There isn't definitely no hotspot there, so it's almost floody, not too far off. So that would kind of give it more of a use sort of around camp, and if you're reading a map or something like that, it takes that hotspot away, because you can get a little bit of tunnel vision after time with that. So, and that just slides it back across there. All right. So interesting little light for that. It does come with quite a bit, so you can use it like this on its own as an EDC light. It does have a little loop in the end. It comes with a little carry loop lanyards that goes on there. It has a clip. It's not particularly deep carry, I wouldn't think. You're going to have it, it's only just going to go to there, so that top's going to be sticking out a fair bit. Oh, let me get that back off again. Oh, she's quite tight. O-ring, which is kind of standard affair. As I said, the 3 diffusers in different colors, depending on whether you want to go stealthy or hunt green frogs. And then it comes with, so this just to be precise, this comes in 2 options, the H, and I think it's just the standard, which is like it just comes with this without the headlamp facility. So this comes as a kit with the headlamp, and it's just they put an H in front of it. This is like a silicone rubber casing. What I found with the other one, with the smaller sibling, you have to unscrew this cap to really get this on. This one there, actually, no, this one is better because it slides on without taking the cap off. The smaller one, you'd actually have to unscrew this cap to get it out of this holder because it doesn't like coming out of it. It's fairly robust. Come out. There we go. One thing to be said for the headband, it's kind of it's very rough. You can kind of probably almost hear it there. It's not like a lot of headlamps. It's got usually have that brushed backing. This isn't. It's elastic essentially, so it is a little bit probably sharp around the edges. So maybe not the nicest thing to wear for a long period of time, but it wouldn't stop you. This is not connected in any particular way, so you could actually put a different headlamp, so a different strap on if you had one that was more softer. But yeah, it's not particularly super comfy, I would think, for long periods of time. Right, so just a little bit of talk about runtimes, lumens, that sort of thing, the operating system. Now, what I have found with this is that the UI can be problematic. It's basically press and hold to turn it on. You press and it cycles through 3 settings. So moonlight, so let's go and talk about why we're going through them. So moonlight, that's 0.1 lumens, and on a fresh battery that should last you 175 hours. Obviously I haven't gone out and done that with my other one, but it's quite a good light with light adapted eyes, especially in the tent in the middle of the night, turning on, you're not going to blind yourself. Press and hold for off, press and hold, come back on. If you press and hold too much, it goes into turbo. Press and hold off, and then one tap brings you back into whatever, so it memorizes the last mode you're in, all right, which was moonlight. So it's moonlight. The next one up is 12 lumens. That's 30 hours. And thirdly, the next setting is 50 lumens, 7.5 hours. And lastly, 140 lumens for 3 hours. Now, to get into turbo, double click, goes into your turbo, which is your 350 lumens. Remember, for that 3 minutes, then it's going to drop down to the 140 lumen level for 2 hours 80. Now, the next clip, goes into strobe, SOS. Evidently, could be something in Chinese. And then you've got to double click to get out of that, and it goes back into the high setting, it seems. Now, this does have an incredibly complicated lockout. It does have anodized threads, so you can actually lock it out manually, like I just did then. But there's also the world's most complicated lockout, which is, I think it's 1 click, 2 clicks, and then 3 clicks, and it'll lock out. Now, the problem I found with that is sometimes when especially if you're like me and you go from a couple of different lamps, head torches, EDC carry, the UIs, you get a little bit juggled because you've got 3 or 4 different UIs that you're trying to remember. Sometimes you grab hold of this, you rapidly click it for another one, and then you end up locking it out and remembering how to unlock it, which is the 1, 2, and 3. Sometimes not so flash and not so fast to do. You will find that you can lock it out and you think you've broken it, and it's not. It's just unlock out, and you have to cycle fast enough to get it where it should be. So it is. Once you've used it a little time, yeah, the lockout isn't something you should stumble. If this was your only light, or one of maybe 2 that have sort of similar UIs, you'd be fine. But for me, I've got tons of lights, and every now and again there's you pick a light up and it takes you a few minutes, or a few seconds to remember which way around the UI is. So that's just one for there. I don't really use the lockout much. I mean, the mechanical lockout is far quicker, quick twist, and then you're back into it. So, yeah, I don't really use it. So, but that's one to remember. It is a bit complicated to lock it in and lock it out. As the other one, same as the little brother, it's got a magnet in the tail. It's quite a strong magnet. It seems to stick quite well to most things, car bodies, undersides, that sort of stuff. The switch itself is a little bit kind of recessed. I haven't had any problems with it turning on in my pocket. There have been a few reports of these switches not being particularly robust. I've yet to see it on my other one, which I've used quite a bit. But maybe that's something to look out for. It doesn't seem too easy to activate. It's I think the best thing to remember is that it is just that one click, so there is that possibility that could turn on in your pocket. But as I said, if you just crack the tail cap, we're away laughing. So yeah, this comes in two LED options. There's a cool white, which I think is a Cree, and then a neutral white, which is a nimh light, which is what I did with my AAA. I've got that in the neutral white color, which is quite a cool color. As you can see, actually, we can do that. You can see that there, and then you can almost see the tint difference there. So this one's the neutral, this one's the cool. So it's not until you put them side by side. This isn't actually. This will look a lot more orange in the video, but it's more like natural daylight, I suppose, is the easy way to call it. There's maybe a little bit of a green tinge around the outside of the beam on this one, on the cool white. You might be, yeah, it's kind of hard to detect. Unless you put it up against a white wall or surface, it's going to show it up. It's probably not going to be a big problem in the long run. Alrighty, so yeah, pros and cons. It's nice, compact, runs on a readily available cell. One of the things I do like about these sort of headlights and torches and like that run on AAs, although you're not getting that power and the output and the runtime, it does allow you to use pretty much any cell that's kicking around, so you can still out your remote control or your toothbrush or something like that if needs must. And also, it's very good when you're backpacking. If you're going like when we did the Tour de Mont Blanc, that I took the Phoenix version of this, and the main reason for that is that obviously if you've got lithium ion batteries and you use them a lot, you've obviously got to either take lots of spares or you've got to recharge them, which means another layer of kit to take with you and to plug in and keep track and stuff. So these AA and AAA sizes are good because they're readily available. You can walk into any supermarket, petrol station anywhere in the world pretty much and pick up that size battery, whatever quality. Also, it does allow you to put lithiums, the lithium primaries, like the Energizer Ultimates and stuff, so you get a bit more cold weather runtime excitement. Most of these lamps, I haven't checked the specs on this one, it's probably -20 is where they usually say that they are not going to be happy temperature wise. Anything below that and they'll start to, obviously the circuitry doesn't like it, so that's something to consider. But it does mean you can put those AA batteries, and they're again readily available. Yeah, it's a chemistry that everybody knows and it's been proven, so it's something you can throw into there. All right, so those cons. Yeah, a little bit complicated UI getting it in and out of lockout. If you don't use that, that's not a problem. You do have to cycle through the to get in. When you get to turbo, you got to double click to get out of turbo, which sometimes, if you've got gloves on or you're not quite so dexterous, you will end up cycling through all the strobe modes, which is a little bit of a problem. But if you're not looking at using turbo very often, it's not going to be the end of the world. I look with these things that you're going to be using them like little vampires, so it's going to be low lumens, long run times. You've been putting it on the 12 lumen 30-hour run time, so that's probably where it's at for these sort of things. You're not going to be stomping around the forest in them and lighting up the trees. That's when you want to go for your lithium ion batteries and your big guys like the Army Techs and stuff that I've reviewed in the past. So yeah, it's a good solid little light. What's really nice about these, 5-year warranty. We'll see how we go with that, and also that the You can pick them up really cheap in the UK, about £25, which is quite a reasonable for an alloy light. I mean, it's aluminium light. It's quite a little package. It kind of kicks most of the things like petrol and stuff to the curb for price for performance, and also being able to use it as a standalone light with the clip. You can use it as a EDC light in your pocket. It's nice and compact for that. Yeah, so I mean, price wise, performance wise, it's really up there. I would be, you know, we're looking for the company I work for, we're looking at putting these in for our guys to throw in their kit. So this is the first one we're going to have a bit of a torture test with it and see whether it's what we need and see what the boys think of it. So yeah, so the downsides, really, I think this diffuser, I'm not a big fan of these sort of things. My little Phoenix light, which I had before I brought the little brother to this, it has a diffuser, which is not implemented very well. It doesn't really diffuse a hell of a lot. This is definitely a lot better diffusion wise. This gives you a lot more sort of hotspot free loving, whereas the Phoenix one is like somebody just smeared the lens really. So yeah, I'm not totally convinced about this, but it is implemented quite well. And I think what I like about it is if you don't want it, you can take it off, and if you lose it, it's not gonna be something that it's integrated into the light. So if it breaks, you know, your light's kind of inoperable or it's scratched or whatever, at least with these, you can clip it off and get rid of it. If it falls off, it's not the end of the world. It's not going to mean the light doesn't work anymore. It just means you don't have the flood. Whether you need the red and the green, that's an added little extra thrown in there. But yeah, that's probably my only downside is that diffuser, not that fussed on them, and the lockout UI, which I'm not particularly keen on. But it's something, as long as you remember that and you're not trying to cycle through like a madman and then you end up inevitably getting stuck in the lockout mode and can't remember how to get back into it. So all right, so hopefully that gives you a little insight to there. That's, you know, just straight out of the bag, looking at it, comparing it to what we've got before. It is, you know, comparing it to, say, the Armitech AA styles light. This is quite small. The AA Armitech, the Tierra A1, which I have. Again, I went to that because it's an AA size and it was readily available. It is actually a beast compared to this. It's a lot bigger light. It has a massive head on it, a lot bigger and way more kind of overbuilt. This is quite nice in your hand. It's nice and small, goes in your pocket, so that's a plus. So it's one of the smaller AA angle lights I've seen anyway. Yeah, so what I recommended, I reckon it is a good little buy for 25 quid. You know, with that battery size, obviously it's not, as I said before, you're not going to be running through the forest with it. It's not trail run. It's not really, well, unless you've got really good night adapted eyes and you can get away with 140 lumens for a couple of hours, you could probably run with it. Headlamp wise, it's going to probably flop around a little bit. But as a good little light for backpacking, you know, when you get to camp, want to set up your tent in the dark, wandering to the toilet, doing a bit of cooking, looking around your tent, great little buy. Fantastic little buy, and then it obviously doubles as an EDC light for around town. Alrighty, so make sure you subscribe to me. I'm going to be doing more reviews, hopefully going to up the production values a little bit more, and we'll